Realtors have got to know that this is still happening.
On Monday, the I-Team followed up on a scam that continues to hit Maine landowners. Online scammers posing as landowners are trying to sell property and make out with the money. It's called deed fraud, and it's playing out in York County. In some cases, the sheriff says they're targeting the same victims twice.
They'll say, we don't want to sign on the property. We don't want to alarm the neighbors, as they did in this latest case.
Since the story aired, the I-Team has already received several more calls from Maine landowners saying it's happened to them. Stephanie Grinley is here with us live here on ARC Maine with another person that could have been a victim of this fraud.
Yes, Katie. So we have someone by the name of Michael Bush. You called our tip line just yesterday, Michael.
Yep.
And you are a property owner in Raymond. And you said your wife saw our story and had to call us.
Yep. Yeah, she let me know that about the story that I read online, and then we've been dealing with this since the 9th of August.
So recent?
Recent, less than 2 weeks.
When did you get the first call or tip off?
Actually, a neighbor called and on the 9th Saturday and told us about the that their friend, a realtor, had been approached by somebody claiming to be me, Michael Bush, and that I had land for sale in Raymond, and it just started the snowball running, and then I ended up hearing from at least 2 or 3 other realtors about the same thing, so he was approaching more than one. So yeah, I ended up calling Richie and talked to him, and yeah.
Were you aware of this scam before it happened to you?
I had heard about it going on, but it never really hit home until it started. Now I'm part of it, so.
Yeah, it's got to make you feel uneasy, right? So we actually did talk with Richie Vroh, a real estate agent in Wyndham. He was one of the realtors contacted by the fake Michael Bush. He took the scammer's phone number and put it into what's called Forewarn, a tool to background check someone. Here's how it went down from his perspective.
Welcome, Richie. So how were you initially reached out to by the fake Michael Bush?
Well, I got a referral sent to me by email, and I reached back up to them. They wanted to sell their property in Raymond. So I reached back to them and I asked them if they, his name is Michael Bush. He asked me if I would sell his property, and I came back with a comp, a price on his property, and I came back at $130,000, which I thought I should sell at. So when I talked back to him, I told him that we needed to get together so we could prepare the paperwork and go over everything. He said he couldn't do that because he was out of state at the time, and that he wouldn't be probably back until after the closing. So that set up a red flag with me immediately.
When did you confront him, Richie?
I again wrote him and said, "You're not the Michael Bush that owns the property on Valley Road." And I said, I also understand that you're trying to scam this guy, and that I've already called the Wyndham police and I've called the FBI, and you should be getting a phone call or a knock on your door pretty soon. With that, I lost touch with him immediately. So these happenings go on every day in York County and Cumberland County. I see the news every day. And also I'm a member of the Greater Portland Board of Realtors and the York Board of Realtors, York County. And we see this happen every day. These perpetrators seem to attack the absentee owners, people that aren't basically in this area. Maybe they live in Florida, but they own a piece of land up here in Maine. And what happens is these perpetrators take advantage of their name, and they look at all the information up. They'll get their own picture and they'll put it on the license of the real Michael Bush, so everything looks clear.
Yeah.
They'll call up the title company, and the title company is aware now of these issues that are going on. And we're cracking down on a lot of these by making sure that everything is correct The seller is the actual seller of the property, and we'd like to meet in person. I, as a realtor, I want to meet all my clients in person because you never know who's out there and trying to steal your land
Have
or
you
your
heard,
house.
Richie, have you heard of some of these transactions going through?
Absolutely. A seller today needs to be diligent in making sure the person that is going to be buying or selling their property are legitimate. This has been a great business. I've been in this business more than 27 years, and I currently work for Pine Tree Realty of Maine, and it's been a great ride. But the last 4 or 5 years have been inching up with perpetrators trying to steal other people's property.
So Richie is someone who did their due diligence. And Michael, this is not the only real estate agent that reached out to you. I
Right.
talked to someone named Jan as well.
Yep.
From Lewiston.
Yep.
The shock that you felt maybe
Yeah.
when you heard them on the phone?
Yeah, when everything had happened, as I said to you earlier, that I ended up having like 3 missed calls during the week, and then my wife actually had the same number, and she ended up Googling and come to find out it was a real estate agent in Lewiston. And I ended up calling Jan,
Yeah.
and she did the same thing, and ended up being she said I knew something was up when he gave a phone number, and ended up being a lawyer's office in New Jersey. And that, he was given the same spiel as far as that, I can't meet with you, I'm out of state or whatever like that. And she knew something was up. And then when I talked to her yesterday, talking to you, she had said that he texted back and said, how's everything going? And she said, well, I found the real Mike Bush, and yeah, and then it was like same thing, hung up, and
Wow.
yep. So
What's your big takeaway from being involved, so personally in this type
Yeah.
of scam?
it's really a shock to me that it's so easy, because we ended up doing getting online and finding out what we needed to do as far as signing up for a fraud alert, which is unfortunate that you only get alerted when somebody is trying to get a deed on it, you know what I
Yep.
mean? So that was kind of a shock that there isn't any really proactive, other than, like I said,
Yeah.
I went through the Cumberland County Sheriff's, talked to a deputy, he reported it and everything like that. But it's really a shock, as I said, that it seems like a lot of it's happening for people that are out of state, but I'm in state and local and everything, and
That's what I was going to say, Mike. You are the first case I've heard where it's actually a Maine landowner who lives in Maine. I mean, you live in Raymond. This happened in your area.
right.
I'm guess if you want to leave any landowner out there with a message, what would you want to say? I know there is a commission right now being formed to look at deed fraud. What do you hope that they find?
I think the biggest thing is, if you have any vacant land, you really need to be diligent about looking, making sure that everything is up to snuff with your town and everything. So I ended up calling Raymond and letting them know what was going on, and short of another deed trying to
Yeah.
get signed, there's not a lot you can do other than just like the people in York going, the story that you had about pulling up to his land and seeing a sign on it, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, for sale, and then heaven forbid it happened twice where they were saying don't put a sign up the second time, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
also happy these realtors and real estate agents are aware of these red
Yeah.
flags and warning signs,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it kind of takes a village, to
Oh,
try to
yeah.
tackle these scammers.
And as Richie said, the unfortunate thing is that there's so many younger people coming up that are also doing the real estate that they may not be as diligent as far as wanting to meet in person or whatnot. So you got to really be careful. So
All
Well,
right.
Michael, thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming
thank
on to
you.
the show, sharing your story, calling the tip line.
Yep.
We obviously read the tip line, the I-Team does. So if you do want to give us a call, we're going to read it. You can also read this story that we just did recently on deed fraud on WGME.com and Fox 23.